Greetings and salutations. This is the Adjutant. Most people think wealth comes from income, and because of that, they make a mistake that I see all the time. They compare military pay to civilian pay. A staff sergeant compares himself to a corporate manager. A manager compares herself to a vice president. A colonel compares himself to an executive. And then they conclude that civilians are richer because civilians often earn more money. But what if I told you that that's the wrong comparison? What if I told you that military wealth and civilian wealth are often built using completely different systems? Because after more than 26 years in uniform, decades working with veterans, years practicing law, and over 2 decades adjudicating VA claims, I have come to understand something that many people miss. Military wealth is not simply about income. Military wealth is about structure. It's about layers. It's about benefits that come producing and continue producing value long after the paycheck stops. And when you understand that distinction, you begin to see why some military families retire with tremendous financial security, even though they never earned what most people would consider extraordinary salaries. Today, I want to talk to you about why military wealth is different than civilian wealth. Not better, not worse, different. And understanding that difference could completely change how you think about your own financial future. Let's begin. Now, one of the biggest financial misconceptions in America is the belief that income and wealth are the same thing. They are not. Income is what comes in, wealth is what remains. Income is what you earn, wealth is what you own, what you control, and what continues producing value even when you stop working. There are physicians earning $300,000 a year who have very little wealth. There are retirees earning much less who possess substantial wealth. Now, may ask yourself, why is that? Because wealth is not measured by the size of a paycheck. It is measured by the strength of financial foundation beneath your life. And this is where military wealth becomes interesting. Many service members spend years comparing their military salary to civilian salaries. They see someone making $150,000, $200,000, $300,000, and they think they are behind. Sometimes they become discouraged. Sometimes they actually leave service prematurely. Sometimes they underestimate the value of what they already possess because they are comparing income while ignoring wealth. And those are not the same thing. Now, let me give you an example, okay? Let's say, imagine you have 2 people. Person A earns $150,000 a year in the civilian world. Person B earns less during a military career. At first glance, A appears financially superior, but let's continue the story here. Person B completes a military career. Person B receives a pension. Person B receives VA disability compensation. Person B has access to affordable health care. Person B has TSP investments. Person B possesses education benefits. Person B may have survival benefits protecting family members. Now suddenly the comparison changes because person B possesses financial assets and protections that continue producing wealth for decades. Now, the military member wasn't just earning income. The military member was building a system, and systems create wealth. Now, let's talk about pensions. I believe the military pension is one of the most misunderstood wealth building tools in America. People often look at the monthly payment and stop there. They see $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, and they think of it as simply retirement income. But that's not what it really represents. A pension is an asset. Just think about it. If someone wanted to generate $4,000 every month from investments, how much money do you think they'll need? Hundreds of thousands? Absolutely. More likely over $1 million depending on withdrawal assumptions. Yet military retirees receive that stream of income for life, month after month, year after year, without needing to worry about market fluctuations the way many investors do. That income continues regardless of whether the stock market is having a good year or a bad year. That income arrives during recessions. That income arrives during economic uncertainty. That income arrives during periods when others are afraid. The pension continues, and that's wealth. The pension is not simply a paycheck replacement. It is a financial asset that many civilians spend their entire lives attempting to recreate. All right? Now, let's talk about something that often changes lives financially. VA disability compensation. This is where many military families dramatically underestimate what they possess. VA disability compensation is unique. Why? Well, first, it's generally tax-free. Well, it's not generally tax-free, it's tax-free. Second, it can continue for life. Third, it can provide substantial financial stability. Fourth, it often works alongside other income streams. Now, many people focus only on the monthly amount, but the real value is much larger because what disability compensation does is reduce financial uncertainty. It creates layers of protection. Now, what do I mean by that? Imagine you have two retirees. One retiree depends entirely upon investment accounts. The other retiree has investment accounts plus tax-free disability. Every month, coming on time. Which retiree has more flexibility? All right. Which retiree has greater security? Which retiree can withstand economic disruptions more effectively? Now, the answer is obvious. And that's why military wealth often looks different. It's layered, it's diversified, it contains multiple forms of protection. Right? Now, let's discuss healthcare. This topic doesn't generate excitement. I know no one's running around, ooh, healthcare. But also, you should understand, it doesn't create flashy headlines. But healthcare may be one of the most important wealth advantages available to military retirees. Here's why. Healthcare costs destroy retirement plans, not occasionally, frequently. People save diligently for decades. They invest consistently. They build substantial portfolios. Then unexpected healthcare expenses begin consuming resources. Medical costs can become one of the largest expenses retirees face. Military retirees often possess healthcare advantages that many civilians must purchase at significant cost. And that matters because every dollar you don't spend unnecessarily is a dollar that remains available for wealth building. Now, one of the greatest secrets of wealth is understanding that preserving money can be just as important as earning money. Military healthcare benefits often preserve wealth, and preserved wealth compounds. Now, let's talk about education benefits. The GI Bill is far more than educational benefits. It is a wealth building tool. Let's think about student loan debt in America. Millions of people spend years paying off educational expenses, spend decades doing so. Many delay investings, many delay home ownership, many actually delay wealth accumulation. The GI Bill can eliminate or significantly reduce those burdens, not only for service members, sometimes for family members as well. That changes financial trajectories. When one generation avoids crippling education debt, future wealth creation becomes easier. This is one reason military wealth often extends beyond the individual. It becomes multi-generational. The benefit received by one person can influence the financial future of children and grandchildren. That's powerful. Very powerful. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about TSP, the Thrift Savings Plan, one of the most effective wealth building tools available to federal employees and service members. Now, unfortunately, many underestimate its importance because wealth creation is often boring. Real wealth is usually not exciting. Real wealth is consistency. Real wealth is patience. Real wealth is discipline repeated over decades. The TSP allows service members to harness compound growth month after month, year after year, decade after decade. The individual contribution may seem small, but time transforms small actions into remarkable outcomes. A young service member investing consistently over a career can create substantial wealth, not because of luck, not because of extraordinary stock picking ability, but because compounding rewards consistency. And consistency is something military life teaches very well. Now, let's discuss something I call defense wealth. Most people focus on offensive wealth, making more money, starting a business, income increasing. Now, those things actually do matter, but defense wealth matters too. Defense wealth protects you from disasters. Military wealth often contains defensive characteristics. A pension is defensive wealth. Healthcare benefits are defensive wealth. VA compensation is defensive wealth. Survival benefits are defensive wealth. These protections don't always make the headlines, but they often make the difference between financial stability and financial hardship. The military system was designed to create layers of support. When properly utilized, those layers become powerful wealth-building tools. Now I want to address something important. I'm not saying every military member becomes wealthy. That would actually be false. Benefits alone do not create wealth. Opportunities alone do not create wealth. Tools alone do not create wealth. You need discipline. You still need planning. You need to have wise decisions. I have seen people waste tremendous opportunities. The difference is usually behavior, not benefits, not luck, behavior. Military wealth works best when people understand what they possess, because you cannot maximize something you fail to value. And many service members fail to appreciate the full value of benefits available to them. They see the paycheck, but they miss the system. They see today's income, but they miss tomorrow's security. They see sacrifice, but they underestimate the long-term reward. And that's unfortunate, because understanding the system changes everything. When you recognize that your pension has value, you treat it differently. When you recognize that healthcare has value, you treat it differently. When you recognize that VA benefits have value, you treat them differently. When you recognize that the GI Bill has value, you treat it differently. When you recognize that the TSP has value, you invest differently. Knowledge changes behavior, and outcomes determine financial future. As I look back across my own journey, I realized that some of the greatest wealth building tools available to me were not obvious when I was young. I didn't fully appreciate all of them. Most people don't. Youth naturally focus on immediate income. Experience teaches us to value stability. Experience teaches us to value security. Experience teaches us to value systems that continue working after we stop working. And that is exactly what many military benefits provide. They continue producing value long after active service ends. That is why military wealth is different. Not because military members earn the highest salaries, not because military life is easy, not because success is automatic. Military wealth is different because it combines income, benefits, protections, and long-term financial structures into a system that many civilians spend their entire lives attempting to build on their own. And if you understand that system, if you appreciate that system, If you maximize that system, you may discover that you are wealthier than you ever realized. Not because of what you earn today, but because of what you have built for tomorrow. And that is a lesson worth understanding. And so there you have it. I hope this discussion has given you a different perspective on the financial advantages and opportunities that military service can provide. If it has, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read them, I appreciate them, and they often inspire future discussions. Thank you for spending this time with me. I'll see you in the next one. I wish you all blessings and blessings. Shalom.